Today we will be talking about fake Pokemon games. Seriously, look at the difference between these two right here. Pokemon games are extremely popular and are somewhat good at holding value, and that is why fake Pokemon games happen all the time. So in this video I wanted to show you some fake Pokemon games and compare them to the real ones and figure out what's the difference and what you should look out for when you're picking up Pokemon games. So as you can see, I have a bunch of Pokemon games here, and honestly, I have a bunch of these that I know are real. Like all of these Game Boy ones, I know they're real because I purchased them when I was younger, but also there's a few key factors in that. I don't have any fake ones that are Game Boy ones, so I'm gonna take those apart and show you kind of the difference between the ones that are full and are real, and then we'll move on to the Game Boy Advanced, which oftentimes these are the most faked, so I wanted to talk about those a little bit. I have two fake ones and then a semi-fake one, so we're going to talk about that as well. So let's move all these out of the way. So I've got Pokemon Blue here, and I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. Now you have to have a special bit that works for this in order to open it up, but I happen to have one of those, so let's go ahead and try to open this bad boy up, and let's take a look at what a real one looks like. So I put that over to the slide. You're gonna go ahead and take this and slide it down just a little bit and then remove it, and then you can then take out the board. And as you can see, this is already soldered to it, so if you ever see a battery that is taped on or anything, it could potentially be fake, but it could also just be a really bad battery replacement. So here is that, and I know this has never been replaced because this is one that I've owned and I've never needed to replace it, which is actually quite shocking. Then you've got the chips here, you've got 4 of them, and then it says Nintendo on the board on the back. And right there it says 1998 Nintendo, which leads me to believe that this board is real. Well, I know it's real, but you know what I'm saying. So it tells you what it is for, and then it tells you on the RAM chips what kind of game it is. So overall, this is a very good looking one, and I know that because, well, it's a real one, and I've compared it to other ones and made sure beforehand. But it's that simple with these Game Boy games. It's not really that hard. Just look for that Nintendo logo, check that battery, check those chips, make sure they're the right chips. And if you ever have a question, you can always Google it. Say Pokemon Blue board or Pokemon board blue chipset or something like that, and you can always find what these boards actually look at. So now that we've looked at the Game Boy games, which I know is a little bit simple, we're gonna go ahead and move over here to the Game Boy Advanced games. So now I moved all those Game Boy Advanced games into the center here, and for the most part I have a real copy and a fake copy for each one of these games, except this Ruby. I only have a fake copy. I thought I had one somewhere, it just must be somewhere put away or whatever, and these are both real ones, which is very misleading. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a real one and a fake one and compare them to what they should be, and I'll take footage, B-roll footage, and photos and cut those in and edit them in. That way you guys can see each one of these boards, because I may not necessarily show that when I'm talking about each one for you guys to see up close. So I'm going to move these all over here. I'm going to grab my bit here, which is the tri-wing bit. I don't know the better way to say that. And we're going to talk about this. So obviously I want to make sure that I have the real and the fake one. And there's an easy way to check quickly to see if these games are real. And that is to just look right into the slot here. And on towards the left, kind of in the middle, it should say Nintendo. And this is the real one and it does. And this is the fake one and it doesn't. So that is the first thing you want to do. Pick up anything, look at it, say, oh, it says Nintendo. At least it's somewhat of a real copy. You pick it up and it doesn't say Nintendo above the pins, you know that, hey, don't touch this with a 99.5-foot pole. So I've got the real one here. I'm going to open that up, and then we are going to move to the fake one. And first off, I want to show you the differences between the labels. If you could tell, this label is a lot more shinier than this label, and there's a reason for that. And I'm very surprised that they always seem to mess this up. Like every one of these fake ones, you could tell that, hey, this is a fake one, which is kind of a shame. But you can also tell these colors aren't right. The shell cartridges are different colors. The fake one is a lot lighter than the dark one. And there's a lot of things missing with this, honestly. They both say the Pokemon Company, which they should. That makes sense. But depending on placements of some things and stamps and the actual label will tell you the difference. Now, the real one has the Pokemon Company on the right side of the label. However, the fake one has it on the left side. So make sure you're checking these labels, and you can always, like I said with the boards and the labels, always look them up. Say, okay, go to Google, go to the images, and type in Pokemon Sapphire or Pokemon Ruby or Pokemon Red, Blue, whatever it is. Make sure that you do that. Look up what they look like, both the labels and the boards, and you will be able to be more confident when you're buying these games. So we've talked about the labels being off. Check that out. This one isn't even actually on straight. The fake one isn't, so that's kind of funny. But we're gonna go ahead and open these bad boys up and talk about it a little bit once we have done that. So I've got the real one here, and then I've got the fake one here. We're gonna take both of those apart and compare the differences, because wow, there are some glaring differences, and it's quite obvious when you first look at these bad boys. So we've already talked about the shell, so we're gonna move on from that. But this board is dirty. It's dirty, so make sure you want to clean your boards before you're looking at them. But if you could tell, this battery is actually over a chip, and then you see both chips, and on the board it says the year, and then it says Nintendo. So you want to make sure that both those chips are correct, the batteries look right, and it says Nintendo and whatever year the game came out. Now I will say that you can get these with new batteries in them, so you want to make sure that when you're looking at it, you may be misled by the battery being replaced or someone terribly replacing the battery. So make sure you check other things as well, because you could just have a battery swap, which happens quite oftenly, especially now. Let's look at the other one. First off, the board is a lot lighter, it feels like, which is kind of interesting. This one is still over a chip, but it doesn't quite look right, and it looks kind of funky. It kind of looks like generic battery, honestly. There is nothing mentioning Nintendo on this board. Not on the front, not on the back. You have this big blob. That blob, most of the time, means that it's not Nintendo. There are some Nintendo games that have blobs on them, so make sure, like I said, go back and check out other boards and everything on Google. The pins on this actually even look different, so we're gonna talk about that a little bit. These pins do not look the exact same. They should kind of be like a copper or a brass color, and these are kind of silver, so beware there. And this chip is obviously a fake as well, so I'm gonna take some B-roll footage of those and show you what they look like, but it's obvious that those are definitely fakes. So we've got the Fire Reds. Obviously one of these is fake and one of these is real, and we're talking about the labels again, and you can definitely tell that this one is real compared to this one. The color of the cartridge, first off, is wrong. The color of the label is wrong. The placement of certain things or lack of certain things is wrong. Like, each one of these labels usually has an imprint with a number, and if you see that, you're more likely gonna be real, but like this one doesn't even have an imprint, so that's one thing you need to worry about. The Pokemon label is not right. It says the Pokemon Company in kind of the wrong font. It's quite obvious, and the ESRB label isn't even straight. So you see that, you want to make sure to check, like I said. But the best thing is to take these things apart, and it's quite easy to do so. I'm going to open the fake one first. All you need is a tri-wing bit, and then you just have to unscrew one screw, and then you are good to go, which is actually pretty awesome because it doesn't take much to actually check these bad boys out. Now this fake one looks exactly like that other fake one, to be honest, and I think I've got some of these from the same place, so that's not unusual to kind of have fake ones that look the same because, well, it's easy to make. And there's one glaring fact that is obvious on these two boards. This board does not have a battery at all, and this one does. Well, it's quite obvious which one's real. This one says Nintendo, like I said, again on the bottom there, but you can look up both of these chips and make sure they're right there. This one, however, is a glaring fake because it has a battery when it shouldn't. It has a glob when it shouldn't. And then on the back it has a weird stamp that absolutely makes no sense. So definitely check these out. Yet again, these pins look different as well, so just make sure when you're picking out Pokemon games, you definitely check for these signs. It's quite obvious on most of the fakes. Now, there is one that I have over here that I actually thought was a fake, but then when I got into it, it just looks like the cartridge is fake, or it was a reshell, basically. So that's okay. They weren't selling it as a real one, which is kind of interesting because it actually was a real one. But the case was just messed up, so I'm assuming someone along the way was like, either they broke it or they just wanted to reshell it, and they did, and honestly it benefited me. So let's talk about this Pokemon Ruby next, and this is a fake one, and I don't think or don't know what happened to my actual real Ruby, so I'm just gonna go off of some of these other ones. You're gonna see some things that are quite obvious on this. Like I said, again, the font on the Pokemon Company text is wrong. It says licensed by Nintendo, and it's really a bad cutout. The label isn't even on straight, so there's a lot of things you need to make sure to look at. Like I said, this battery is a generic battery, so that leads me to believe it's fake. The board doesn't say Nintendo, so I know it's fake. And there's that glob, which some games actually use that glob, but most of the time you don't see a glob like that on a Nintendo cartridge. And then the chip is just another generic chip, and there's nothing on the back. So it's quite obvious that that's a fake as well. Without actually having a real copy, I was able to deduce that this is a fake copy because, well, it's quite obvious. Last but not least, let's bring over these Pokemon Leaf Greens, and both of these are actually legit. However, they do not look legit from just seeing the cases and whatnot. And obviously the case on this one is fake, or it was real at some point and they lost the label. I still think it's a fake cartridge case, but whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up, both of these, and yet again, it's just a tri-wing. It's very simple, very easy to open these bad boys up. You slide the front cover off, you take the board out, and you're good to go. So we're doing that with both of these, and honestly, I was surprised. Oh man, the screw on this is fake as well. It's very stripped, so I gotta be careful when I'm using that next time. I have some tri-wings that I will replace that with. That way it doesn't get stripped in the future. So having tri-wing screws extra is actually good as well, because if you're going through games and you're seeing fakes, or you find real ones but they're in bad cases, you can definitely tell what is real and what is fake, and replace those fake parts if you need to. So here we are. with the exact same board. Here is pretty much a gold mine right here. This is the one that is in the real case, and this was in the fake case. And when you go down and look at it, they're the exact same. There's barely any differences. It still says Nintendo. The chips are right. There's a little bit of difference on the board, but that may be just because these were made at different times. It happens, but these chips are both real and they look good. So I'm very happy to say that I found a fake cartridge with a real board in it. So that is something that is very awesome as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these bad boys back together, and I'm very happy about this. I will put these back together and then grab my Game Boy Advances, and we'll play and look at some differences there. So here I've got two different Game Boy Advances, and I'm going to show you a little tips and tricks on the short time I have talking about this. This is a real one, this is a real fake one. I say real fake because I reshelled this one, so beware of the reshells. You'll notice them on the back here is an obvious giveaway. There's a sticker there. There's not a sticker there, it just says Game Boy. So make sure you're aware of this, and also on the back is a serial number, so make sure when you check these things out, if you find a rare one or what looks to be rare, make sure you check everything out. The screen should look right and everything here. Now I will say these colors of the buttons and the shoulders definitely are a dead giveaway, but what can you do there? I reshelled this one because I had one that looked like this, but it was really beat up. So I had a little fun putting this together. If you want me to reshell on this channel of one of these Game Boy Advances, please comment down below and let me know. So what I'm gonna do here is take the fake one and put it in my reshelled, turn it on, and I'm gonna put a real one in the real one that has not been reshelled, and see if we could figure out the difference. Well, this one's not even booting up. Let's try it again. Yes, I just blew into that cartridge. I know someone's gonna comment. It looks like it might work now. Oh, internal battery has run dry. Okay, that's fine. That's no big deal. I expected that. Honestly, these both start up and look good, which is interesting because I would not expect them to start up and look the same. So that's kind of cool. I'll show you guys what that looks like, and they're both working great, so that's cool. They both look real, which is an interesting fact because oftentimes these fake ones will have just ROM dumps of it, and so you've got to make sure when you're looking that you are making sure that it's the right game and that it is the right cartridge, because you can get duped and fooled with this. And I've had it happen. I bought these and I was like, hey, some of these might be fake based on the price and whatnot, but overall it seems like we are doing really well with that. Yep, these look both to be right. I'm just comparing. It's a ROM dump. What can you say? It's gonna be the same. So I want to say beware of that you could be fooled, and let's put the real one in the real one and the fake case in the fake case. That's too funny. But here we are again. Oh, I need to reset that one. That happens sometimes. You'll put it in and then it will give you that screen that is not necessarily helpful. So this one looks right. They're the same, obviously. So I'm very happy there. And last but not least, we're talking about that Pokemon Ruby, which does actually look fake, because it is fake. So we'll see what it looks like on here. And I've just got them set up on here, not doing anything fancy, but I want you guys to see that yes, these games do look real, however, they are not always real. So I'm gonna move these over, just kind of give you guys a look at it and say, hey, here's what we're looking at. Maybe we'll put those blues together. And honestly, that's what I have for you guys today. Some really cool games right here, but they're oftentimes fake. So make sure when you're out there hunting that you check these things. You don't necessarily have to have a tri-wing or a socket set thing. I can never remember what these things are called. I think it's a Torx, but I can't remember what size. You don't necessarily always have to have those with you. You could take that quick glance and say, oh, it doesn't say Nintendo, and pass on it. Or you could say, it does say Nintendo, the label looks correct. So just be smart when you're out there looking. Make sure that you do not get fooled, because there are a ton of these, especially for Pokemon games. So I want you guys to be informed and make sure that you are properly getting what you're buying. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what you think about this video, because I had a lot of fun and I have been wanting to do this for a little bit now. I got all the games together and wanted to present them to you guys. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification. But most importantly, make sure you have a good day.